Western Cape to become an independent state.
There are at least two political parties campaigning for the upcoming elections on a single issue,
Cape independence. But is the promise that the Western Cape could secede from the rest of South Africa actually based on fact? Both the Cape Independence Party and the Referendum Party have been promising the South African electorate that a vote for their parties could lead to a referendum which could ultimately trigger the Western Cape leaving the rest of the country. The Cape...
Good ideas. Western Cape independence. Hashtag heartful Cape Townians. That was done. That if you have been oppressed for years and always marginalized, you end up wanting to do your own thing. You should ask me that question because I've experienced that where I was in a school which had bright students and I was taken to stupid then. I felt that I'm tired of begging for acceptance. If you don't want to with me, I'll be alone. If we work in groups, I'll just work on because I know no one wants to be alone. No one wants to play anything with me, so I'll just be alone. If you want to join me voluntarily. So I think it is a good idea, although I'm not into apartheid and I was born just before apartheid ended and I saw its results, but if you have been oppressed, you feel you want to have your own thing. Western Cape is known for its rich plant diversity. So I think it's also a coastal province. So there were plans already to rename Cape Town Gaip, which means where clouds gather in Khoikhoi. So I think one other thing that could happen is that if the Western Cape is divided from South Africa, it could also have a Khoikhoi name. It will sound more original. Because I think it's a great idea because they've been oppressed for too long. What else can they do? We can't oppress people and expect them to entertain.
Joining us now is the group's spokesperson, Fidel Adams.
Thank you, evening to you. Thank you.
Why do you want them to leave?
We never ever said that. We said that we want all people not born in the Western Cape pre-94 to sell their assets and go home.
Right.
This is what we did.
94% of them being black?
I don't know what the demographic is, but if it is, so be it.
Why do you want them to go home?
We sit with a situation in the Cape Flats where our community, the so-called colored community, is growing exponentially poorer as a direct result of the influx, especially from the Western Cape, from the Eastern Cape to the Western Cape, with people coming and taking, and government being solely at fault for the implementation of national demographics against the constitutional court order that negatively impacts our community. We've got good young kids sitting with worthless matric diplomas, not getting work because the state doesn't want them. The economy doesn't want them.
Well, why do you think the state or the economy, and that's who you accuse of hiring those from the Eastern Cape, why do you think they'd rather hire them than somebody from the Western Cape?
Well, there's an agenda to keep us poor, to keep us down.
I'm black myself, but I don't support this thing of oppressing the original owners of land. Especially the Khoi people, they were the first people here in South Africa, so they shouldn't be marginalized. They should be places named after them. And maybe Western Cape will prove South Africa wrong because when most of them go to them, they'll develop their own country, they'll be the Monaco. As much as I supported the idea of Lesotho being part of South Africa, but after the kind of oppression that has been happening with corrupt leaders, then they might as well separate, have their own country. And now you find that now it will be much more difficult. There will be 20 more people in South Africa to go into the Western Cape with a new name for the Khoikhoi name. They keep trying to support to rename Gaip. There have been discussions about that. That's just my opinion. And if you have your own currency, you would have your own currency. Give the Khoi name, give it pictures of Khoikhoi leaders who are popular. And some of the Khoikhoi even use Africans' names and surnames because they're just unrecognized. So maybe this would somehow give them recognition.
Poor black people are nothing but voting fodder to them. If the ANC was serious about poverty, they would have implemented a structure or some type of structure to lure business in the Eastern Cape. So poor people in the Eastern Cape can upgrade in the Eastern Cape because we've got now a situation where you've got bad shelter in the Eastern Cape, coming down to Cape Town, you've got no shelter in Cape Town, and now you've got a protest. I mean, something's
wrong. You said it's the poor black people coming over.
Yes.
The poor black people who are a problem for you.
Well, I wouldn't say that they're a problem for us. They are strain on the infrastructure. Our trains aren't driving because they weren't designed to cope with this amount of people. We've got people sitting at day hospitals from 6 o'clock in the morning, leaving at 4 without tablets because the queues are too long. This is a problem that impacts negatively upon, not just upon us, on everybody.
Helen Zille said exactly the same thing. She said the refugees, migrants from the Eastern Cape must stay away. So are you using her rule book for your platform?
I very, really agree with Helen Ziller. But on this day, I will. It is hurting our economy. It is hurting our children.
It's apartheid reversed. We black people got into power, and after that, we abuse our power. So let them have their own country. Then they'll prove to South Africa how to run a country. That you must always work on demographics, make sure the majority gets considered first. 78% of the people employed should be people in that area. So maybe if they have their own country, they'll turn it around. It will be more like a first world country. And South Africa remains third world because of corruption, not because it's lack of minerals or anything or lack of resources.
You walk into a shop, right? 18 tours, 18 black people in Mitchell's Plain. I was at a protest at the Department of Labour, 8 client services advisors, 8 black people. They are saying to our kids that you're not fit to work here. Last time I read the Freedom Charter, it said that South Africa belongs to all that live in it, except if you live in the Western Cape and you happen to be brown.
And yeah, okay, what about if there were white people in the queue, if there were Indians in the queue?
My attitude would be the same. We've got demographics. This is what government insists on in all provinces. Employ it. Employ it. Your own rule book. They're throwing it out the window because it applies to us.
What about secession? I believe that's something that...
That's something that we're gunning for.
Pretty excited
We want an independent Western Cape.
But is it going to work for you?
We want an independent Western Cape. We feel that it can work. We feel that, look, we've been made to feel apart from the rest of this country anyway. So we might as well pack up, close our borders, and have our own country. And we can show South Africa how the democracy project is supposed to work. Where everybody fits on a common voters roll, and everybody, white, black, brown, and Indian, will benefit from the good of this country.
And who are those white, black, brown, Indian people who will be in your hood? I mean, are they only successful people?
No.
What does it look like?
Everybody born in this province pre-94.
So how will it actually work? I mean, how do you go about this if you are looking for secession and your aspirations? How do you fulfill them?
Well, first of all, if you look at, let's get the economics out of the way. We're sending almost 200 billion back to Treasury every year to belong to this country. We're getting back 45 billion. Out of that 45 billion, we've got to do the housing thing, we've got to do the structural thing, we've got to do the upgrades. If we have 200 billion, we can instantly uplift the standard of living of everyone in this province. There won't be a hungry person again. We've got the sea, we can do our fishing, we've got the arable land, we can farm, we've got the tourism industry. We'll turn Cape Town into the Monaco of Africa. And South Africa can watch how we do it. Because at this point in time, the ANC government is slowly but surely killing us. My community is on a starvation diet because of government and its policies towards us. Yesterday, a young man was shot doing an illegal thing. He was buying dacha, biceps. I looked at this tactical response team. I was there minutes after he was shot. 8 black guys. I asked, where's the demographic? Because what we now have is I've got 8 kids from the Eastern Cape busting here, getting jobs, which is bad enough, but it's fine. They don't know the area, they don't know the slang, they don't understand the gang culture, and now we've just sacrificed the young boy for demographics.
Aren't you concerned, though, that these sorts of comments stoke increased racism? Racism against you and your community by talking like this, by rising up?
We have to rise up. No one else is going to do it for us. Racism is practiced against us daily. You're too brown for a job. You're too brown for a house. We've got 60-year-old grandmothers sitting on the waiting list since 1980, not finding houses. 25-year-old black boys from the Eastern Cape getting houses. Racism is practiced against us every day. Nothing has changed. We've swapped an oppressor. We've liberated this Western Cape. We have, us, the so-called colours. We liberated this Western Cape. We swapped a white oppressor for a black one. And I'm not afraid to say it.
Right, let's leave it there. Fadil Adams, thank you.
Always.
If you are oppressed, you feel like, no, you'd rather live into your own thing instead of always being oppressed. Because I think, no, what they are saying is actually fair, that they've been oppressed for far too long. So why don't they just have their own country? I am black myself, but I don't support what's being done to them. Being oppressed in their own land. That area belongs to them. So maybe it might be a good idea and make sure that Western Cape is renamed with a Khoi name. Then it will fit in very nicely. Because it deserves origin also. It was in the old South Africa, of course, it used to be one big province. It was Western Cape and Eastern Cape. So now, because we're in the New South Wales Western Cape, they can so rename it as much as they're naming Cape Town hype up. Eight make a guess no use.